if you look at a marriage that doesn't have Christ in it, of course, they're in a worldly position, right? However, the one thing that a non-Christian marriage has the benefit of that a Christian marriage doesn't is that they're not playing in a spiritual warfare game like a Christian.
Right.
Because what happens is, look, the devil doesn't need to attack you if you're already playing his game.
Right.
Right? You're not going to sense that spiritual warfare element like a Christian marriage would. So not only in a Christian marriage are you trying to balance marriage, but you're trying to chase God. And as you chase God, the Bible's pretty clear. There is a spiritual warfare going on, right? The devil's always trying to take out the godly. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you have to fight against that, and you have to fight in your marriage. So now you have two forces.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So in a lot of ways, if you ever thought like, oh, well, I'm a Christian, it's going to be easier. In fact, I think it's almost more biblical to say it's going to be harder because you're balancing more.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married with Mugicas podcast. We are so glad that you're here. We are Richard and Hailey Mugica.
That's right.
We have been married for 12 years. We have 4 kids. We homeschool, run a home-based business, starting a little beginner homestead, all the fun home things. And we started this podcast because we are super passionate about marriage and want to see marriages thrive and enjoy each other. And our slogan on this show is building a marriage you love coming home to.
That's right.
Because your marriage should feel like home.
Every day, all day.
Every day, all day. So how are you, babe?
I am doing very well today. It could have been a better night's sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So our dog, Patriot, wanted to bark like crazy at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then we thought we had the magic secret, right? It was like, okay, well, we have this Alexa in our room. So, at night we're like, hey, Alexa, turn on the rain sounds. And then that usually drowns out all the noise. But for some, we might have had a window open.
I did. I have both of them open.
Oh, that's why it felt so much worse.
Louder, yeah.
Okay, we got to talk about that one.
Well, we've got 4 dogs, and 3 of our dogs sleep inside. They like to sleep with the boys, but we have one dog that refuses to come in the house at night. Like
he's old.
He's very old.
I don't even know if he hears me. I was calling him and nothing.
No, he does it on purpose because as soon as I call the other 3 dogs inside, he walks around to the other side of the property where he knows we won't go get him.
Yeah, he's a crazy
He
dude.
wants to be outside. He sees it as his life mission is to keep the coyotes away.
Yeah.
That's his goal.
That's right.
And he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, I'll give him some kudos.
Yep. But yeah, so you've been up for a long time.
Yeah, I've been up. But honestly, I love getting up early.
Yeah.
Earlier the better to me,
Yeah.
I think it could have been better if I got to bed earlier. But we've been watching Chopped, and I just love Chopped.
We love Chopped. That's so funny.
It's so fun.
I don't even think I saw a single meal last night. I fell asleep so fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's anything going on fun for you this week?
Every week's a fun week. Anything fun? Nothing out of the normal. No, I feel like it's actually more mellow now.
Yeah, things are a little bit more mellow. We did get our boys started on it's called D1 training, but it's legit. It's so fun. Yeah. I mean, it's just so much fun. But like they literally were like squatting in the squat rack yesterday, which just makes my heart sing. I don't know why. I love watching them. It's just so much fun.
Just the boys being boys,
Yeah, and it was kind of this little proud moment because he's never like squatted like with the full 45-pound bar on his back, and they've never done this before. But our oldest, like his form was so good, and he knew exactly what to do because he's watched us for years, and so like I was like, oh my gosh, like this, it works. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and what's so funny is when we asked him because we're like, man, Riker, you had such good form. He's like, well, I watch you guys.
He said, I saw Dad.
I saw Dad. Yeah, I saw Dad do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just a little
crazy
proud moment. It just goes to show you that like
imitation. They're looking.
Your kids, I think having the discussion and like communication is so important, but more than anything, they just are watching you.
That's right.
And like it was a kind of cool moment for me.
It was. Yeah,
yesterday.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And what about you? You don't ever talk about your new stuff. What you got going down?
You know what?
Homeschool.
And we've done episodes on homeschooling before that you can go back and listen to, but I love it so much. Like I just love it. And I love the opportunity to get to watch my kids learn and spend time with them. And One of our kids has some like learning struggles and stuff, but it's just, I'm so thankful, so thankful that I get the opportunity to walk alongside with him, that he doesn't have to be put in some box in a classroom or whatever. Like I'm just so thankful for it. So that's
really
majority of my day and of my life is homeschooling our children.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Man,
I'm just so thankful for it.
Well,
So,
I love that you love it.
yes, I do. Okay, so this week on the podcast, we are talking about the top 7 struggles that Christian marriages have. Statistically pulled, what are the top 7 struggles?
Wow.
And we're going to talk about them.
That's going to be interesting.
I know, it is really interesting. This little research was really interesting. So let's just get right into it. So the number one thing that Christian couples struggle with is unrealistic expectations.
Oof.
And the
Talk
main
about a
thing,
recipe for disaster.
well, okay, so I do
Yeah.
want to get into that. But the main thing is that Christian couples expect their faith to automatically prevent conflict. And then they're shocked and surprised when it doesn't, and they
it's
don't
so
know how to
true.
handle
Yeah,
it.
it's so true, man. Yes.
So I think that's a really, really important one to talk about. First and foremost, because I think it's so important that people understand your faith is not going to prevent conflict at all. What it will do is it should influence how you address the conflict,
Yeah.
but it is not going to prevent conflict at all.
Yeah.
Because you're still 2 people with 2 different backgrounds, 2 different upbringings. You're going to have 2 different points of view. The conflict is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But how you approach it should be heavily, heavily influenced by your faith. So how does that look like? What does that look like in our real life? Or can you give an example?
Of how, like, what looks?
Conflict. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. So let me back up real quick. So I think this is actually very important. So, and I think you hit on it, but just to reiterate it, right? I think marriages believe that, man, I'm a God-fearing person. Like, I love Jesus and I want to be Christ-like and I want my marriage to be Christ-like. And deep down, I do believe that we just wish that, wow, God, like, I am a Christian. I follow you. Like, why not just make it easier on me? Like,
Right.
why not just give me this great marriage? I'm doing everything right. You know, like, I deserve to have a better marriage.
oof.
You know?
I hate that word.
Yeah. In fact, you know, it's so funny. Just a side note, Charlie Kirk's favorite word, when he said this, it hit me. What was his favorite word?
Earn.
His favorite word was earn. And make no mistake about it. No matter whether you're a Christian, you have to earn. You have to earn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just come because you love Jesus. And so I just want to make that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then point number 2 is, what does it look like in our marriage? So,
Well, but before
Yeah,
you get to that, one other thing based off of what you just said is I think we're so quick. We give ourselves so much grace because we always look at our own intention. We judge ourselves by our intention, and then we judge our spouse by their actions.
Yeah, by their
Right?
actions. Yeah.
It's like, you got to flip that around. Stop worrying so much about your spouse and just worry about yourself.
That's right.
You know, like if you're constantly like, this should be easy because I do all this, and my husband doesn't, or my husband, whatever. It's like, don't worry so much about him. Like, you just do what you've got to do and focus on that.
Yeah.
And then let them focus on what they've got to do.
So true. Yeah, so true. So, you know, I want to, how do you feel about this statement? So, because all of life's disappointment, if you think about it, all of our misery in life is unmet expectations. Okay. So wherever you're at in life, you have an expectation of being somewhere else in life. Like, man, I thought by 35 I would be here, and you're not there yet. And so you feel the pain in that, and you feel the misery in that. So I'm asking you just out of pure curiosity, because I've struggled with this in my own life, of expectations, whether it's business, marriage, finances, kids. And so I heard one time a guy say, hey, the key to happiness is actually lowering your expectations. And when you have a lower expectation, well, A, it's easier to hit, and B, you don't have this crazy expectation that you're like, you're always striving for, but you're never there.
Yeah.
And like, you're in this constant state of like, well, I'm never where I want to be. So I'm asking you this now out of pure curiosity, because I've never asked you this before, but do you believe in that state? Like, how do you balance low expectation and high, like, because you want to have high expectations, but how do you balance that in marriage?
I have super, super mixed feelings about that.
Yeah,
statement,
me too. I do
because
too.
I understand it, but I also think the last thing people need is excuses for themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. And so I
Yes.
think we have to maintain really high standards But I think we just have to set reasonable expectations of like, hey, I am married to a human. And kind of like we talked about, I think it was last week, but like God is there to fulfill your needs. Your spouse is there to come alongside you as a partner. Your partner is not there to fulfill your needs. So I think you have to have reasonable expectations of the person in front of you. But I don't want to give people an excuse or a reason to just have really low expectations for their life. Because I don't think that's good. So I have very mixed feelings.
Or for your marriage.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
But that initial saying that, my initial reaction is kind of uncomfortable, to be honest.
Like lower your expectations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get it.
But it's true.
But I get it. But like I said, I just don't think we need to give people excuses. People have enough excuses for themselves.
Well, it kind of goes along with that same saying that we said last week. It's like not wanting it is the same as having it. So if you don't want the expectation, you already have the expectation, which makes life so much more happy because you're like, well, I didn't even want it in the first place.
Right.
But then it's like, well, but don't you want something better? You know, it's like, well, no. I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. It's I would love to know what the audience thinks, or if you guys listen to this podcast, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, and the next point for this is it says that Christian couples can feel like spiritual failures when conflict happens. Instead of just seeing it as just part of human life, they feel like they are somehow failing spiritually.
Yeah, like God is punishing me.
God is punishing me, or I'm not
Christian.
Faithful enough. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's why there's conflict instead of like, hey, this is just two imperfect people in a relationship.
Yeah.
Conflict's going to happen.
Well, so you know what? So here's the thing. I don't know if you ever think about this, but I think about it often. If you look at a marriage that doesn't have Christ in it, of course, they're in a worldly position, right? However, the one thing that a non-Christian marriage has the benefit of that a Christian marriage doesn't is that they're not playing in a spiritual warfare game like a Christian. Right. Because what happens is, look, the devil doesn't need to attack you if you're already playing his game. Right? You're not going to sense that spiritual warfare element like a Christian marriage would. So not only in a Christian marriage are you trying to balance marriage, but you're trying to chase God. And as you chase God, the Bible's pretty clear. There is a spiritual warfare going on, right? The devil's always trying to take out the godly. And because of that, you have to fight against that, and you have to fight in your marriage. So now you have two forces.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So in a lot of ways, if you ever thought like, oh, well, I'm a Christian, it's going to be easier. In fact, I think it's almost more biblical to say it's going to be harder because you're balancing more.
Right. But
you have a bigger strength on your side.
You have a bigger strength, and you have the spiritual gift of joy, where you can feel joy regardless of your circumstances, which 100%. Can help a lot with outlook. And
yes, 100%. Yeah. So anyways, I don't know. I think that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Fascinating to think about.
Yeah. And the final point here that you already kind of touched on is that higher expectations leads to deeper disappointment. Sometimes Christian marriages can feel this really deep disappointment in their marriage because they had such a high expectation. Okay, so the number 2 thing that most Christian couples struggle with is communication and emotional disconnect. This is for Christian couples and worldly couples regardless. Life gets busy, kids, responsibilities, job. But anyway, so the communication and emotional disconnect for all couples, not just Christian couples.
Yeah. The interesting part on this one is if you're a Christian marriage, you go to a church, maybe you're trying to do activities in the church. You have to go to, Bible studies. You might throw a home Bible study. You might participate in weekend marriages and want to devote your time to the church. Here's the thing, is that these are all great, right? These are all great things to do. However, the busyness of it can still rob you from your marriage, right? So you could be doing something good, like participating in the church, but with everything else going on in your life, and you're already not giving your marriage what it needs, and then you add on, well, I'm going to start participating in my church's thing every Wednesday night. When Monday night you're busy, Tuesday night you're busy. So it's like sometimes you can do a good thing, but then skip out on the best thing.
Right, which we talk about a lot. So I think that's one thing that can happen in Christian marriages is that you're so out to help everybody else, but you forget that your first responsibility is in the home. Yeah.
And so that's just an added complication in a Christian marriage. That
Yeah. Well, just as an aside, like, I grew up going to Christian school, and there was always kind of the running joke about the pastor's kids. They were usually the kind of the craziest ones.
Yes.
Because their parents were usually so involved at their church and so involved with helping everyone else. Doing a good work.
A good work.
Neglecting the great work.
Yeah, neglecting
because
the
their
great
own
work.
kids were not being discipled well.
That's right.
And they were really looking for attention other ways. So it was just kind of funny that pastors' kids are notorious for being the really, really naughty ones. But I think, like you're saying, I think Christian couples maybe are more susceptible even to doing the good thing in neglect of the great thing.
Yeah, of course. And then, of course, you have the normal marriage challenges, right? By the way, not to plug, but Spark Check-In is one of the reasons why we had that weekly ritual, and we created the app Spark Check-In. We just got a great testimonial, by the way.
Yes, we did.
From a lady that just said it's completely been a game changer for her. But that's what happens, right? You have all these activities, you have all this busyness, and then you add on a spiritual component, and all of a sudden you're like, dude, Monday through Friday, I am dead busy.
Yeah.
Right? And guess what? There's never a block of time that says hang out with spouse. Like nobody,
unless you put it there.
Well, nobody puts it there. Like nobody. I mean, very, very few. Right?
Okay.
Intentional marriages put it there. Right? Yeah. The people that use Spark would put it there. Right? It's like a block of time on your calendar. But if most people look at their calendar, what is it filled with?
Busyness.
It's busyness all day long. And so what this actually talked about in the research is that this is the number one reason why people get into the roommate phase, right?
Yes, it did.
They're passing ships. They're high-fiving each other. They're doing life side by side, but they're not doing life together.
Yeah.
And so I think how you combat this, and we've had multiple episodes on this. I mean, multiple, because this is a real struggle in every marriage, not just Christian marriages. The way that you combat this is with hyper-intentionality.
Yes, hyper-intentionality, yes.
And because we've said it multiple times on the podcast, but the busyness will never prioritize your marriage, right? Unless you prioritize it. And so some practical ways that Hailey and I do this, obviously we do our date nights. We use Spark Check-In. We, when the kids go down, we have our nightly rituals that we do. And the big benefit, just to be honest, is that I work from home.
Yeah.
You're home with the kids. Now, we did that intentionally, though, right? Like that is an intentional thing that we do because we wanted to have more time together, time with the family. So a lot of people will be like, well, yeah, that's a great luxury. But it's also a lot of people don't even want that because they're like, well, I don't want to be.
Or they're not willing to do the work to be able to build towards that.
Or
like that was a process for sure.
That was a long process. But it all was built off of this is what we want.
Intention, yes.
Intention. And so I think everybody has the power to build the marriage that they want. However, it does take a lot of
And before you can
effort.
do that, you have to actually define what that is.
That's the hardest part.
A lot of people don't take the time to do that.
That's the hardest part. Because look, you look at a marriage, you're balancing kids, you're balancing the marriage, you're balancing the home, you're balancing Christianity. And so
work and
bills. Yeah. So like most marriages, like you're just trying to survive. And when you're in survival mode, you ain't thinking about, dude, what's the next 5 years of our life going to look like? You're just like, dude, I got to pay the water bill in next week. And that's, And so it's so hard to snap out of that. But however, if you're listening to this and you're like, dude, I've actually never talked with my wife and figured out a 5 year, like where do we want to be in 5 years? It's amazing. Again, Spark Check-In, but it's amazing what happens when you start having those conversations. And now you're like, whoa, this is what we want. Now working towards it is actually a lot easier.
A lot easier when it's
a
defined.
lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a vision for your marriage that is powerful. You're like, dude, this excites me. You get up every morning with a newfound appreciation for life because you're like, dude, I can actually have a life that I want, And so,
yeah. Well, and a really common thing I see is that women really want their husbands to lead and men really want their wives to follow them.
That's right.
But women aren't going to follow a directionless leader. So if you're a man and you really want that, you have to actually sit down and communicate to your wife, hey, this is where we're going. This is the vision. This is what we're doing. I promise you, your wife will probably jump on board and follow your leadership.
She'll be excited.
She'll be so thankful. She'll feel a weight lifted. You'll be able to see her femininity come out in a whole new way because she's not carrying that masculine role or feeling that like masculine weight she wasn't designed to carry. But unless you really take that leadership responsibility by the horns, she's going to take it, and she doesn't want to.
That's right.
So it's really important to do. Okay, number 3 out of our 7 things that Christian couples struggle with. Number 3 is the pressure to look perfect.
Oh, geez, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So fear of judgment prevents them from getting help. Oh my gosh. But if we go get counseling, our pastor will know that we're not buttoned up and perfect.
Yes.
How embarrassing. So we can't go to the church for counseling
Yes.
or, like just stuff like that.
100%.
So they pretend to be fine. They avoid vulnerability, and they are constantly comparing themselves to other couples in the church who are also pretending to be perfect, but aren't either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
On Instagram.
Instagram,
on the gram.
at church, whatever.
Yeah.
So especially in Christian circles, that pressure to look perfect can cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. Again, I think this ties back to number 1. They expect because, well, we're Christians, we're going to have a better marriage. It's going to be more perfect. God's going to, be on our side. And when it doesn't work out that way, they're like, wait a minute, this is not what I expected. However, I still have to hold up the image.
Right.
Because if I don't, then I'm the failed Christian. Maybe others will think that I'm not doing my part with God. Like maybe they're going to think I'm not praying enough, or I'm not going to church enough. I'm not in relationship with God enough. And it's like you get all these weird things that you start seeing. And now you have other Christian couples that you want to uphold the standard with. And now you're not even living life.
Yeah.
You're living you start living literally like a lie.
Yeah. Well, and in church, we'll talk a lot about how the divorce rate looks the same in the church than it does in the world.
Which is true.
And that's horrible, and it's sad, and it's shameful, and it shouldn't look like that. But we hear that as Christians, and we think, okay, I don't want to be part of that. But we're not also teaching people how to have a better marriage. We're just teaching them that you can't have this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
Like our divorce rate can't look the same. So it's like, okay, but you're not teaching me how to have a better marriage. So now I'm just like in this place of like, I have to pretend like everything's fine. I have to pretend like it's perfect, because Christians,
That's right.
we can't divorce, but you're not showing me how to do better.
That's right.
So hopefully this podcast helps people to
do better.
do better.
Yeah, because it's all behaviors. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
It's behaviors, and it's outlook, and it's expectations. It's all these things.
At the end of the day, though, it's all behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Like your outlook on life, your perspective on life, your mindset in life, your views on it's all to transform your behavior. Mm-hmm. It all leads to behavior. And so what I was going to say on this is like it sounds very logical for a marriage to act like keeping it all together is the better way to go. However, if you look at it from a practical standpoint, that is actually going to hurt. That's going to damage your marriage more than keep it together. Mm-hmm. Because what you start doing is you start living in a fantasy. And a fantasy marriage, you both know it. It ain't true. It ain't the real thing. So deep down, internally, in your identity, you know you're living a lie. And you know you're portraying a lie. As opposed to just saying, dude, we just need to fix it.
Yeah, we need help.
We need what are the steps we need to take to actually have that marriage? Because that marriage is possible. Like the marriage you see in your head, in your mind, it is possible. However, you can't do it if you want to pretend like you already have it.
Which there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know how to have a good marriage.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
That's
what I
vulnerability.
do have a much bigger problem with is being married for 20 years and saying, we have a horrible marriage because I never knew how to do it. It's like, no. You needed to handle that 19 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't get to live 20 years
Yeah.
and then get 20 years down the road and say, well, we can't have a marriage because I don't know how.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So I have a big theory on this too. So you know how we had that stat that most marriages divorce after about 19 years, right? Mm-hmm. I have a big theory besides the kids, right? Because the kids start leaving around 19, 20, whatever. And so they don't know each other. But my other big theory on this is that in marriage, what happens is you have two spouses that start living a certain life together, right? So they're not happy in it, but however, they try to just keep it together, right? Save face, show this perfect marriage, show that they have it all together. And then one spouse eventually goes, dude, enough.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. I want to change it. Now they're trying to change it after 18 years.
Right.
And the other spouse is going, dude, I ain't changed. Like this is, we've been doing this for the last 18 years. Like I ain't changing. Like this is it. And so what you did actually early on in our marriage is you you never would have had that marriage because you called out the nonsense very, very early. And if you don't call out the nonsense, and I do believe that, look, I'm a dude, and in a dude's heart, they are a kid, right? Like it's very hard for a dude to grow up. Very, very hard. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But again, we don't naturally want to take on responsibility. Leadership is hard. We want to like not say, oh my gosh, I got all this pressure on me. Like it's a lot, right? So naturally men don't want to grow up. However, you helped me in that process. Like you came alongside as a helper in my marriage and you said, dude, you got to get better. You got to do better. You have to be a man. It's like time to be a man, right? And that transition's very, very hard. And I'm not saying this is every marriage. However, imagine if you didn't do that for me. And then 18 years later, you're like, dude, it's time to man up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? We've been having a marriage for 18 years.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, let's divorce. Like we're just not meant to be anymore.
Right.
So I find that dynamic very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Very interesting.
And it's sad because when the one person decides, hey, I can't do this anymore, we got to change. Obviously the hope and the goal would be that the spouse is willing to change with you. And that's what should happen. But like you said,
it's so hard.
It's hard.
So the point is this, I guess the main point is, look, if you're earlier on in marriage, look, if earlier the better. Start now, right? If there's things in your marriage that are not well, I promise you eventually somebody's going to snap and they're going to want to change it. You might as well do it now.
Yeah.
And not later.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, the next one, you guys, if you've listened to this show before, this is one of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
Gender roles and expectations.
Yeah.
Why this causes such a big problem in Christian marriages. So a lot of times, okay. So for one, they can have differing interpretations of what the Bible says about gender roles. But I think the bigger problem is that I'm a woman, right?
Are you?
Yes, fully and completely.
Identify female.
But so my call biblically is to submit to your leadership, right? And women don't like that. Women don't want to hear that. Women don't want to listen to it. Women don't want to do it.
It's all good.
Right? So I'm going to instead look at your leadership and I'm going to critique your leadership and that's the problem.
Got it.
Right? And men do the same thing, right? Leadership's really hard. If you would just submit better, being a leader would be so much easier. If you would just get in your place and be quiet, this would be so much easier, right? So men are critiquing our submission. Women are critiquing men's leadership. We need to stop that and look at ourselves, right? How do I submit better to my husband? That's my focus. That's my goal. How can I make leadership easier for my husband? Or what have I done to make leadership difficult for him? How have I been difficult to lead? And then men need to think of, okay, I'm called to lead. How can I do that better? Whatever. But if you focus on yourself and stop crossing those ties and stop focusing so much on your spouse and what they should be doing, I think we would have a lot less conflict. But men love to look into those submission and use those like a battering ram against their wife and say, you're supposed to submit to me and you're not good at it. And women do the same thing the other way.
They do it the other way.
We need to stop crossing.
Yeah.
Stop crossing over and focus on yourself. I think that would solve a lot of problems.
How do you do it practically? So how do you start that process? It's because to me, that seems like so much emotional maturity. Like it requires such a high level of emotional maturity and such a high level of responsibility, self-responsibility. Mm-hmm. How do you, what is the steps there? Like, how do you do that? Because that's a lot.
Yeah.
But that is what being an adult is.
Yeah. And then you kind of have to ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Right?
Yeah.
Like, is it hard? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it going to be worth it in the long run? 1,000% yes. So we can do hard things. We can do it. You know what I mean? And so as a woman, and I can only speak for women, but I think you have to be really honest with yourself. You have to really look at yourself and say, have I been fighting my husband on all of these things? Have I been holding him to a standard that's unreasonable? Like your husband's human. He's going to make leadership calls that are maybe wrong. And you cannot bat him over the head for eternity because he made that decision. It's like, give him the freedom to be human. Say, okay, this was a bad mistake. We made a poor decision here. We're going to do different next time, and then move on and get over it. But if you've been that wife or you've been that woman that's knocked him over the head because of a wrong decision, you have been hard to lead. And you need to be willing to acknowledge that in yourself and say, I need to do better. Like you can acknowledge that and you can do better next
100%.
time. And the men, you can speak on how men can kind of do the same thing for their leadership.
Yep.
But I think you have to be really honest with yourself.
Well, I think this topic resonates with people. The reason why I say this is because we had a Instagram carousel. And here's the hook, right? It says, you married the wrong person. And that's exactly what God intended. This has over 500,000 views. It's got like 26,000 likes. It's got 16,000 shares. And the subheading on it says, no human can be what only God can be. And sometimes in marriage, what happens is you mix spouse with God. You think your spouse is supposed to be your God. Mm-hmm. You think he's going to meet every single one of your needs. You think he's going to make you completely happy. You think he's going to give you the peace and certainty and love every day that you fully need to be human, right? Mm-hmm. However, none of those things are true.
No.
Your spouse will never do that for you. Only the source can do that for you, which is Jesus and God, right? And when you get those two confused, guess what? You have a marriage just like you said. Because now when your husband messes up, you're like, you messed up. You robbed me from my joy. You robbed me from my happiness. You robbed me from the life that I'm supposed to have. When it's like, no, dude, he didn't. You robbed yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think that you have to, I think this carousel sums it up perfectly, is yes, you married the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's okay because you have the right God. And no human, whether you're a wife, like, look, you're never gonna be like, you're never gonna be able to satisfy me in all ways. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't want you to. I don't need you to. Like, I don't need you to be that, right? I need you to be my partner. I need you to be my the person that I hold my hand with and I walk towards God with and become more Christ-like with and raise our children with and have a partner and have somebody to do life together with. Mm-hmm. But I don't need the other. And I think it's something that most marriages should think about if you haven't thought about that already. Like, am I making my spouse into a god? Because they will always disappoint you and you're always going to be frustrated. And so, but there is a balance where it's like, okay, they're not my god, but they do need to be a partner and they do need to uphold their other commitment in the marriage. So it is a balance. However, I think you summed it up perfectly.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that can help reduce conflict in that area is that we have to have a correct biblical outlook on these things and not what the world tells us we should view. What I mean is submission, right? As soon as you say that word, all the feminist women out there, their hackles go up and they get upset. But let's look at what the Bible actually says that means and what that says of us. And look at it through that lens and not this, submission makes me a doormat and it's a bad word lens,
Bam. Yeah.
And I think if we can look at these and view them biblically, you'll solve a lot of conflict. Also, like with leadership, right?
Yep.
As a Christian woman, you have to acknowledge that the call and the role of leadership and the responsibility of leadership is so heavy that you don't actually want it, right? But we don't ever look at it like that. We just think, that's the one who gets to be in charge. Well, yeah, but they also have a lot to answer to.
Yeah, of course.
And answer for.
Of course.
So I think
it ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
We have to stop letting the world tell us how to look at things, and we have to let the Bible tell us how to look at things.
That's exactly right. I think that is a good sum up to this. Culture and the world, it's flip-flopped. Mm-hmm. Everything's flip-flopped. Like God's whole economy is upside down. It doesn't make, from a logical perspective, like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, well, it doesn't have to make sense. Like it's in the Bible. Like this,
and
is
also
how
because
it's designed.
Like culture built over thousands of years, Satan has literally taken the best things God has given us and has warped them to the best that he can.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you can live in these biblical roles and have a satisfying, healthy, happy marriage, that's not what Satan wants for us, right? So it's
such a lie.
It's such a lie. It's such a lie.
It's such a lie. Yeah. And any time in your marriage where you go to the world for the answer and not the Bible, like, I don't know if people fully really understand this. And I just want to talk about it. It's like the Bible is the playbook. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. But in order to know it, you have to read it.
Well, you have to read it. You study
have
it.
To know it.
You look at it. But it's like there should never be a moment that shocks you because the whole playbook is written out. Like God gives you everything. He tells you how to live your marriage. He tells you the order and chain of command. He tells you what the wives must do and the husbands must do. He literally tells you. He gives it to you. However, like to your point, you have to you have to reference it. You have to reference it. You have to go back to it. Oh man, okay, what does Jesus say?
And
it's so
according to the Bible,
so easy.
As a Christian, you have to be willing to take up your cross and follow Jesus. That's not going to be a pleasant, easy life.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And we kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
But
it's tough. It's tricky.
Just because God tells you what to do doesn't mean it's all of a sudden going to be easy, because he also tells you to deny yourself, pick up your cross, and follow him.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I love when the next thing is like, well, yeah, but I don't want to do that. It's like, okay, that's cool. But just realize you're not.
You're opting out.
You're opting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Number five is intimacy and sexual communication is a problem in Christian marriages. A lot of the times it can be from
sexual communication. Sex, right? Like, what does it mean by sexual? I don't know. That confuses me. What's sexual communication?
Sexual, like, hey, how often is often enough for you? Yeah. Like how, just.
By the way, let me give you a little teaser. If you're on this, there's a couple people live. Tomorrow, I'm dropping a carousel around sex.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm excited about that one.
I think it's going to be good.
But a lot of times, Christian couples in particular can have a lot of shame from purity culture, which we've talked about a lot. But purity culture was a really big thing in the early 2000s, where dads would buy their daughters purity rings, and it was good intention, had some bad outcome, unfortunately. And so a lot of women get married or maybe all Christian people. Remind me of something.
Yeah.
Just remind me.
We're on the same.
Please.
We're on the same wave. We're on the same wavelength.
But they get married, and even saying the word sex is uncomfortable. So they don't want to ask their husband, like, "Hey, do you want to have sex tonight?" Because that just like feels uncomfortable. It feels dirty. It feels weird.
Yes.
But I listened to an episode of the John Deloney show yesterday.
Big John.
But he had a caller asking him. He's in some sect of Christianity, which it sounds like it's kind of an out there sect, but basically their belief is that sex is for procreation, and if the intention is not to procreate, that you can't have sex. And so he was saying, I want to enjoy my wife, but sometimes he feels guilty for even enjoying the act.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know.
That's really sad. And, we've talked about this a lot, but God did not have to make sex as enjoyable as he did. That was very intentional. Yeah. And he also created the hormones and everything to connect you to your spouse. So sex.
Yeah. By the way, Jesus has it in the Bible. And that is
Jesus never has sex in the Bible.
No, meaning like he tells you in the Bible that the playbook's written in terms of enjoying sex in the Bible.
Right. Songs of Solomon is all about enjoying sex with your spouse. Yes. Okay. I misunderstood what you were saying.
That's
what
I'm saying. Yeah. Like it's literally there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But I've said before, I think that Christian homes needs to be the most sex positive places on the planet.
Yeah.
Sex is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Sex is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be any shame around sex in as married couple.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
No, we'll finish your point.
That was it.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention the John Deloney thing. That was what
John Deloney.
I didn't want to forget.
Yeah, no, but I agree with you. I think if you are a Christ-centered home, you should actually have more sex than the world. Because
statistically, that is true. Married couples have more sex than unmarried couples.
I was talking about worldly, like non-religious.
Okay.
Yeah. Non-religious couples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have it. That's our position on sex is have it as often as you can, as fun as you can.
Now, does it give any reason why the sexual thing for Christian marriages is a big one?
Purity culture.
Okay, purity culture.
People feel a lot of shame.
Yeah.
They don't know how to talk about it, or they feel uncomfortable to talk about it, or they have mismatched expectations.
You know, another thing too that I'm going to lay out, a lot of churches don't talk about it.
Right.
A lot of churches.
Which is why, we are very Christian focused and very Christian based, but we are going to talk about sex, and we're going to talk about it unashamedly because it has to be talked about.
In fact, there's only one sermon that and again, I grew up in the church, right? There's only one sermon that I can remember where a pastor actually talked about sex and how to do it in a biblical way.
Really?
Yeah. And
I honestly can't recall one.
Yeah. Well, it's when we went to EV Free, and it was with a pastor. I can't remember what his name was. He might be Mike Erie. Maybe it was Mike Erie.
Really? Okay, yes. I don't remember that, but I maybe I do kind of remember.
Yeah, he did a whole segment, and he talked about he got even a little personal with his wife and kind of things like that. It was very interesting to me because I had never heard anything before like that. And so I think that's a little bit of a disservice. But again, you can read the Bible on your own and kind of come to your conclusions too.
Yeah. But long story short is enjoy your marriage. There's very few rules sexually in marriage. One of those being monogamy is not optional, including pornography. Pornography is a third person in your marriage.
Yeah, don't
never
do that.
okay.
Yeah.
And obviously affairs and other physical people.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't no. What's that stuff called when they bring in like they switch hook swingers? So, no swinger.
But yeah, so monogamy, you and your spouse for life. That's it, and it has to be consensual. And beyond that, knock your socks off, have fun, do whatever you want.
Let it rip.
Let it rip. Okay, number 6.
Yeah, let it rip.
Faith differences within the same marriage. So you might both be Christians, but you might come from different denominations, have different interpretations of certain things.
Yeah.
Maybe you have two people with differing levels of spiritual maturity, and that can cause some conflict for Christian marriages. So I think what you really have to remember is there's like first order things as a Christian, which is like the Trinity, salvation through Jesus Christ alone, through faith alone. Those are first order things that like you can't differ on. All the second and third order things are not that important.
You
so
post-trib, you pre-trib.
Post-trib, pre-trib.
It is what's the big
infant
one?
baptism versus submersion versus sprinkling. Like there's so many second and third order things that like it's not worth staking your marriage on. Maybe they're fun conversations. Like Rich and I actually have a differing theology on predestination versus free will, and that's kind of like a fun conversation that we'll have sometimes.
Does God live inside time or outside time?
Inside time, out. Like all these, just view them within your marriage as fun conversations, an opportunity to hear your spouse out. They don't need to be knocked down.
The other one that we differ on, just to get a little spicy, is do animals go to heaven?
Oh,
yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
Because of course they do, and you're wrong.
Of course they do. I don't know.
Of course
Maybe
they
do. In fact, fun story for you. Okay, I should have never.
This is horrible.
I should have never said this. When Hailey and I were dating, Hailey's a big animal person. Okay, I'm talking huge animal person. You love every animal, horses, pigs.
Never met an animal I didn't like.
Never met an animal. She wants to have animals everywhere. She had this dog, and what was the name? Coco. She had it for 13 years.
She's a great dog.
A great dog. The dog dies. Okay, the dog dies. She's devastated. Me and her are like sitting on the couch, and she's like, "Man, I can't wait to like see him in heaven again," or something like that. And I'm, stupid me.
We were
Instead
teenagers
of
at this
smiling
point.
And nodding, which I should have done, I said, "Babes, dogs don't go to heaven. Like, what are you talking about?" And of course, she starts crying.
Is a ridiculous belief to uphold, and I
just thought like it was so like
obvious.
Obvious. Like they don't go to heaven. Like, are you joking right now? And you were bawling, and then we watched Marley and Me, that was a horrible. I mean, why would we watch Marley and Me after your dog dies? However, if you're a dude, take advice from me. If your wife ever has an animal that dies and she believes they go to heaven, just nod.
It's a second or maybe even third order issue. Just agree.
So funny.
That's so funny. I remember that. Do you have anything else on that before we move on?
Wait, faith differences?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think that's how I would approach it, No, it's within the same
marriage, yeah.
But it's not like, oh, I'm Muslim and you're like... No.
Right. No, this is Christian marriages specifically.
Christian marriage.
So they're both Christians. They just have different denominations or different interpretations of certain things.
Yeah. I would say follow that group. Yeah. If it's actually matters, then discuss it. There's only very few things that matter. Like you mentioned them. And then the other stuff is just whatever.
Yeah. But we know a couple that like, they won't go to church together because when they leave service, they argue about whatever the pastor said. And so they just like decide not to go. Yeah. I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean,
I would argue that that's wrong. I think we're called to be in church. And so you can like spiritual ninja yourself out of that if you want, but it's wrong. And that's kind of sad. Like allow your spouse to have differing interpretations, different, like I said, make it a fun conversation. It does not need to be a knockdown, drag out. We're going to end our marriage because
or not go to church because of it.
Or not, you can decide what you want to do with that. But
for sure.
I think it's kind of sad.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And number 7 is a lot of Christian marriages don't seek help soon enough. And so we kind of talked about that a little bit in the like wanting to seem perfect. And but they fear that people will perceive them as having a lack of faith if they get counseling or help.
Yeah, true. Yep.
And they have a desire to solve things privately, which I think can be very, very common in the church.
Yeah. And Well, I'll say this. I mean, I have this, I forget, it was a mentor that told me this, but he said a lot of men suffer in silence. And I think that's more of a man thing. I do believe that just from a outwardly woman perspective, I'm not a woman. However, if you look at most of therapy and even marriage things in general, most of the users and buyers are going to be women because I think men love to just suffer in silence. Like, I'm man enough. I can figure it out. I got it. It's going to be okay. We'll just
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to ask you a question though, because I read this week and I thought it was really interesting. It was saying that most men will refuse counseling because they're afraid that they're going to be told that everything they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
So is that because men don't like to be corrected, or is it because, like, what do you think that's about? Or is it, maybe it's because counseling is kind of, honestly, it's kind of feminine, right? And it's
a feminine thing. It's definitely more of a feminine energy.
And just the way the Western world does therapy is very like self-affirming.
Yes.
And you're perfect just the way you are, which of course you're not.
Yeah.
Nobody's,
Here's the thing. Like, again, I've never done counseling. However, my perception of it is not, my perception is that it's not going to help. And the reason why is because, again, I think a lot of guys, now I'm not excluding women. I think a lot of women are logical as well. However, guys just tend to look at very logical based things. And sometimes I think a man can think like, I'm in a lose-lose situation in counseling, right? Because it's like, okay, a spouse is not happy at husband, therefore husband's doing stuff incorrectly. And then everybody gets to share. And then it's like, well, now we're talking about feelings. Like, well, how do you feel? And how does this make you feel? And how does that make you feel? When the man's just thinking like, okay, what do we have to do? Like, what are the things that we should be doing? What are the behaviors that we need to change to actually make our marriage better? Where a lot of times, again, I'm not saying every counselor is like that. I don't even know. But if I would imagine, I've heard a lot of people go through counseling before, and a lot of it is just feelings. And feelings are important because they feel very real. They're indicators. However, the best thing, in my opinion, and what's going to change a marriage is what are the behaviors that we need to change? And how do we go about changing those behaviors, right? And there is an emotional aspect to that. However, I think because men just feel like, well, like the feelings are good, but what do we do? Yeah. And how do we do it? And what's the game plan? Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's my thoughts on it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I would say I think there's definitely situations where counseling is needed and will 100%. Help, such as infidelity,
I've heard
porn use.
Many great stories from counseling before.
Yeah. So we're definitely not anti-counseling because you made the comment counseling won't help, and I don't think that's necessarily what you
that's
meant.
my perception of it. But it's because, again, but I know people that have done good counseling that have actually benefited greatly from it, right? However, my perception has always been that because of those reasons. But again, I've never been in it. So it's like, it's hard for me to say.
Yeah. But of course, if you need help, get help.
Yes.
Even if that's just, sometimes reading a good book and just getting a new idea in your mind can be really helpful.
However, I will say this. And again, I'm going to harp on this over and over and over. It needs to be behaviors. Behaviors have to change.
Yeah, you can't just sit and talk about your feelings and then go on living the same.
You can't. Yeah. It's like the same with the Bible, right? It's like you can't just read the Bible and not change your behaviors. True change, true lasting, like it's all around behaviors.
Yeah.
Bible clearly says faith without works is dead, right? Counseling without changing behaviors is dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't survive. So there has to be behavior change.
Right.
So, yeah.
I agree.
What was the last one, though? That was
not seeking help soon enough.
Yeah, seeking help. Yeah, I mean, get help. And, that's one thing as I think about our marriage. Like, right now, I'm like, man, who is that one marriage that we look up to that we can emulate and portray? I think we have virtual ones, right? I think I have virtual marriages that I look up to, just not like in person that I think that would be nice, that I'm just thinking about right now. But a lot of virtual ones. Like I watch the YouTube videos on this, whatever that, like, oh, that's cool. But I don't know, maybe virtual is good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, because you only have the people in your life that you have, right? And so, I mean, your parents are your parents and your siblings are your siblings. You can't really change those things.
Yeah.
But you can make the intentional decision to like, okay, I'm I don't want to look up to this, but I'm going to look up to this instead. I think
right.
that has to be intentional. Otherwise, you do just grow up to emulate what was in front of you, and that's not always a good thing.
No, that's right. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, hey, is that the pod?
That's the pod. That's all we got.
Cool.
You want to sign us out here? What do you want people to do?
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, always, I think the best thing that you could possibly do for this podcast, if you enjoy it, if you enjoy the content, me and Hailey, obviously, we put a lot of work into it, is share it with other couples, other marriages. Because odds are, and I always say this, if you enjoy it, somebody else will enjoy it too. So do that, please. And then also, if you guys want to join the prayer challenge, we'll have the link down below. It's 7 days. We'll give you a prayer a day to do with your spouse that a lot of people have loved. And if you guys want to go deeper in your marriage, grow your marriage, have a marriage that lasts and that you love, try sparkcheckin.com. Links down below.
Perfect.
And I think you guys will love it.
All right. Thanks, babe.
Cool.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.